Hi, I'm Ryan Grove. This is my wife, Tiffany Grove. I believe in a flat earth. She sanely does not. We've been having a conversation, even though her conversations always involve lots of notes. Um, but without further ado, speak about the issue, my dear.
Okay, so last time you asked me a question that I didn't understand very well, and I realized I was rewatching the video last night that I didn't understand what you were asking me, but in regard to Hugh Everett's many world interpretation
Oh, the perpendicular
rather than the
parallel
Heisenberg.
universes.
Yeah, and the parallel universes being at right angles to each other. And you were asking me, what does it mean to have parallel universes at right angles? And you probably meant existent alternate realities, but
You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, I just
yeah,
couldn't come up with them last night. Yes, that's
but
exactly right.
my understanding of Everett's model is not to necessarily be seen that way. Um, that these are not simultaneously existing realities, but rather the infinite possibilities of the future. And as to the 90-degree angles, the right angles in Hugh Everett's mathematics represents the magnetic fields always being at right angles to the electric fields forming electric potential within each reference frame,
That's
which
how I
actually
understand the electromagnetic grid is to be as a grid
which is actually what I
series of right
said at that
angle
time, but you just
intersections.
ignored it.
No, no,
And
no. My question was,
yeah.
how do you imagine alternate realities being at right angles to one another?
So because we have an infinite number of reference frames within our universe, and because light has momentum and momentum is frame dependent, each object or observer will have their own reference frame within their own future uncertainty as time unfolds photon by photon. And like I said yesterday, that's why an observer can look back in time at the beauty of the stars in all directions from the center of their reference frame. And this is because they are forming their own space time by collapsing the waves of light into new photon oscillations, forming their own future potential. And it also kind of reminds me of what Lawrence Krauss had to say about the pre-Big Bang nothing, which he takes a lot of flack for that.
This is a
But
good one.
he uh, he mentions the pre-Big Bang nothing as being something akin to infinite potentiality. So the infinite potentiality of
Which
the
with
universe.
infinite potentiality is something, right? Because you
Well, it
could,
hasn't been realized, so
but nevertheless, its potentiality is something. Isn't that correct?
well,
So it's not nothing.
right. It's just a loose terminology that he
Like there's no
uses.
matter. There's only potentiality with no matter. Even though when everything is made with matter, you would have to have matter
Right,
in
but we're
order
not
for
talking
anything to
about Lawrence Krauss's
potentially.
pre-Big Bang nothing. I was just talking about he also likens the quantum function that way. This is the infinite potentiality. And it's not necessarily infinite, but it would be a rather large number either way.
It's just
And then,
a convenient term to use. Well, hey,
so,
what about the? So I just want to make this clear. So you're talking about stars make their own time reference, their own space reference, and that's, or you could look
well, the
back in time in
observer
all
does.
directions at stars just because of the vast space. Like they say, oh, the light leaving that star left that star 3 billion years ago, and it's just getting to you now. And so as you look at it, you're looking at all times in between. Then, I mean, something like that. How when you look at a star and you see its starlight, you're actually looking back in time 3 million years. And since the light has traveled from there to your eye, you also must be seeing every time in between as well. Is that what, sort of loosely what you mean by they create their own
Not
time reference and how you
necessarily,
can look back in
but
time? Okay, well, I
that's
was just trying to
interesting.
understand that statement. Okay.
Yeah. And so, um, what I did was I drew a chart. I'll show it to
The most natural
anyone that's
conversations you're ever going to
possibly
witness.
out
Right
there.
here. This is just organic. Yeah. It's called a conversational chart.
Yeah. So this is a chart. But
Look at that. It certainly is.
so the relation between the electric and the magnetic fields to make an electromagnetic wave.
That's good.
And it's
I didn't know this.
E equals CB. But so they already saw the chart, so I'm just going to show it to you. So this is the electric field and oscillating along the y-axis right here.
Looks like the mathematical symbol for infinity too, the pattern that.
Yeah. And this is the magnetic field oscillating along Z and the x-axis. So when you look at that though, see, because that is, yes, it's 2D, two-dimensional. It looks like it anyway, until you realize that Z is actually oscillating in and out. So if this is the flat plane, then the electric current is oscillating like this, but the magnetic current is oscillating in and out of the paper.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to. How I was trying
and that's
to
how
describe
they're 90
the
degree
torus pattern
angles.
last night on the flat Earth. Was that extra dimensional flow aside from the plane? Just because the topography is a plane doesn't mean that the whole enclosed structure is based on plane geometry. That, in accordance with what I kind of understand about what you're suggesting about the dipolar nature of electromagnetics, that as I tried to explain last night, that if you put the toroidal pattern onto the flat plane, with the North Pole being the center, then you would have that is a dirty tactic.
I think our pizza's
I think our dog would bark.
No, I just got a phone call.
Okay, let me see.
590-2106.
Our pizza's ready. Hold on.